Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of Eye of the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lauren Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. So this weekend, I had the great pleasure of streaming Super Mario Land 2, Six Golden Coins. It's been a game that I've been like casually playing since like the Game Boy service came out on NSO, but this is actually the second game I finished on it, I believe. Yeah, it was Kirby. Yeah, and Super Mario Land 2. Yeah. So Super Mario Land 2 really surprised me going back to it. This is the second time I've ever played through it ever. The first time legitimately, because the first time I used save states to avoid like the padding with the six golden coins. Super Mario Land 2 is a massive improvement over the original Super Mario Land. Like the level design is better, the mechanics are a lot of fun, and the power-ups are more interesting. There's more like interesting stages. The game has creative, interesting bosses. No stage feels the same as something else. The game is just very, very compact and very, very playable, very highly replayable. You're actually forced to go through the final level of each zone over and over again to get all the get all six golden medallions to enter the castle at the end and fight Wario. And the final level is legit, probably one of the best final levels I've played in a Mario game. I legit felt like challenged going through it. And you can argue that like, oh, this game doesn't have color. It's like it feels a little bit wonky control wise. It feels a little bit stiff. Like the bosses go down a little bit easy. Maybe they could have had maybe they could have made a better game, but at the end of the day, like when you really just bring it down to brass tack, like really just break it down, like the game is a fun, interesting Mario game. I think an extremely underrated one. Going through this game again, I really I wouldn't put it up against like Super Mario Bros. 3 or World. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as those games. But like to say I didn't enjoy my time with this would be a massive misnomer. Like that would be like severely understating how good this game actually is. Because I do think this, at the very least, this is probably better than Super Mario Bros. 2. Like I do think this game does have like a very interesting place in Nintendo's history. Like this is the game that introduced Wario to the masses, right? This is the game that like spawned the Wario Land games. Wario Land is Super Mario Land 3, right? Wario became the protagonist of the series after this point, and like the games became like Wario Land instead of Super Mario Land. And the game like does have a really interesting like vibe to it. You can totally see how it grew into the Wario Land franchise. Like the atmosphere is darker, the zones are a bit more elaborate, like the enemy designs are a bit more wonky. There's like some more odd decisions. Like you fight like all sorts of weird stuff, witches, giant weird looking crows, uh three little pigs, like ghost Goombas, which is just baffling to me. Like, I don't think there are any boos in this game, but there are like ghost Goombas that move like Medusa heads from Castlevania. That threw me for a loop for a second. Um, like the zones in Super Mario Land 2 are actually some of the most interesting areas I think I've seen in any Mario game. They really tried to think outside the box with the worlds in this game. You don't get your standard like grassland or desert land. You get a tree. Okay, you get a giant tree that you have to climb up and fight a bird at the end, right? You get like a pumpkin zone. You get like a horror themed area. You get like a one set in deep space where like anti-gravity is the norm and like you end up fighting Tatanga again. Yeah, he does return in this game surprisingly. I misremembered it and thought he didn't return after Super Mario World, but Super Mario Land, but he's back in this one. You have this level where you're inside a giant Mario automaton, like you're going through this thing, this artificial like being, this giant Mario. Like you're going through like a house. Like there's an underwater zone. Like it feels like the developers really, really, really wanted to set the game apart from the older Mario games, right? Like it really wanted to try something new, interesting, and distinct, and it nailed that in spades. I found myself like constantly surprised by the encounters and just like what the game threw at me. Like I found myself like very impressed by the standard level design, by the creativity, by like the decisions the developers made. Like it all just came together to make a very, very enjoyable experience. One that I hope more people discover now that it's on NSO. I would never would have said I disliked this game. I did enjoy my time with it when I played it for the first time a couple of years back, but I think this is the playthrough that it really clicked with me that like yeah, this game is legitimately very good. Like even though it's limited, even though it's like very slow paced, even though there's like all these things you can kind of say about it that like oh yeah, Super Mario Bros. 3 did that better or World is better than this. Like I don't think there is any denying that Super Mario Land 2 is a great Mario game.